Hey guys, welcome back to Cooking with Dr. Mehtaverse, where in this week's episode we're going to be taking a look at apple pie. Apple pie is a fruit pie in which the principal filling ingredient is apples. It is often served with whipped cream, ice cream, aka apple pie a la mole, cream cheese, custard, or cheddar cheese. The last one surprised me as well. Who eats cheddar cheese with apple pie? Maybe something to try down the line. Despite being one of the most iconic dish of America, eaten on the 4th of July to the Turkey Day as a symbol of patriotism, apple pie's origin aren't all that American. In a beautiful article written by Mr. Rossi Anastopoulos, sorry if I butchered the name, why apple pie isn't so American after all. The first known origins of the humble dish are said to be in England, where it was developed from the culinary influences of France, Netherlands, and the Ottoman Empire. I'll link the article in a pinned comment in the comment section down below if anyone wants to take a look at it. Let's gather the ingredients and take a look at a low carb, gluten-free, guilt-free recipe for apple pie whenever one might crave it, especially during a low carb diet. Apples, half cup of oats, half cup of ragi, 2 tablespoons clarified butter, 2 tablespoons honey, salt, 2 teaspoons cinnamon powder, freshly squeezed lemon juice, 2 teaspoons vanilla essence. Our first step in preparing our low carb, gluten-free, guilt-free apple pie is to prepare the dough for the pie. For that, we'll be requiring oats, ragi, honey, vanilla essence, and salt. Before we make our dough, we first will have to roast the oats to make them stand out a bit more in terms of their aroma and flavor. We begin roasting our oats in a pan over a medium flame, stirring constantly. The whole process will not take more than a few minutes, so keep a close eye on the oats and be careful not to burn them. Once they are nice and golden brown, like so, we can move on to making the dough. After we're done toasting the oats, we'll grab our mixer jar and our toasted oats, add in our ragi flour, add in our 1 tablespoon of honey, vanilla extract, generous pinch of salt, and 2 tablespoons of clarified butter. And done, we are ready to mix our dough. We will grab our mixer grinder and pulse the ingredients. Then we gather the mixture that is stuck on the wall and add in a tablespoon of water to the mix and then pulse again. Repeat this step till however many times till you get a cohesive mass of dough with little to no mix stuck to the sides of the jar. And with that done, our pie dough should look something like this. I'll give you the top down view as well. Now that our pie dough has been prepared, we can now roll it into about a 1/4 of an inch thick sheet, and once we're done with that, we can set it in the refrigerator for about half an hour, ideally overnight, to let it set before we can bake it into our pie. For that, we'll be requiring 2 pieces of parchment paper cut into almost an A4 size, our rolling pin, and our pie dough. We'll start by unfurling our pieces of butter paper, separating the two, taking our pie dough and emptying the entire mass onto our sheet, clumping it together using our hands, forming a round dough ball, putting it in between the sheets and cutting it slowly, evenly roll the dough, almost 1/4 of an inch thick dough. While we wait for the pie crust to set in the refrigerator, we'll start working on our filling, which is the apples. For that, we'll require our apples, honey, cinnamon, salt, lemon juice. first step is to peel the apples. Once we're done with the peeling, we can now cheek the apple, which is to say, cut the apple into slices near to the core, as close as possible. In case you have a corer, you can use that as well. Once you have your apples cheeked, you can cut them into 1-inch cubes and transfer them into a medium-sized bowl. Start by adding lemon juice, honey, cinnamon powder, and a pinch of salt, and we can combine our mixture. Once we have thoroughly combined the apples with the spices, the mixture will look something like this, and we can set it aside for about 10 minutes to let the apples soak in the flavors. As wisely said by Joshua Weissman, this step is called macerating, not to be confused with something else.
One eternity later.
After the apples are done macerating for 10 minutes, we move on to the stove where we can cook the mixture to infuse a little bit of flavor into it. Over a medium flame, add the apple mixture and let it cook for a bit, stirring in between occasionally. Once the sauce reduces, add in a cup of water mixed with a tablespoon of cornstarch combined to form a slurry of cornstarch to our cooked apple mixture to get a nice and saucy apple filling. The final filling should look something like this, glossy and thick. And now all the preparation for the pie has been done. It's just a matter of assembly and baking. For that, I'll grab my ramekins because I'm making a single person pie filling, and my pie dough. This is what the dough looks like. Grab a piece of our dough, grab a ramekin, put on the top, push our dough to the dish. Since our dough is crumbly, it might break away, and that is alright. You can just cut out pieces of the dough, cluster it on top. This is what the inside of the ramekin will look like. Put half of our filling into it. Then cut out another piece of the dough into small strips to lace it on top of the pie. Or you can make a circular covering as well, depends upon your artistic choice. And repeat the same steps for the second one as well in case you have materials left over. Now into the oven, the pie will go at 180 degrees Celsius for about 15 to 20 minutes. Your mileage may vary depending upon the oven, but this is a good starting point. Be sure to use a glove to remove the pies from the oven and not burn your hands.
One eternity later.
Well folks, now everything is done and let's have a look at what our final result is. So here is our cooked pie. I'll just grab a plate and my knife. Let's just take it out of the ramekin and see what the pie finally looks like. So here we go. Just simply run your knife around the edges of the pie and the dish and it should separate out easily. Invert it on top of a dish and give a few gentle taps and it should slip right out. And the final baked pie looks something like this. Pretty, isn't it? My kitchen is filled with the smell of apple and cinnamon. It's smelling so tasty, so nice. Just want to dive right in. But before we do that, let's have a look at the cross section, shall we? Right down in the middle. Now for the all-elusive taste test. Let's have a bite. The pie is crumbling. The touch of my spoon. Everything in one spoon. A lot of apples, a whole lot of crust. I think a whole lot of flavor. Solid all-round flavors, very close to a normal apple pie. This low-carb one is pretty similar to that. And damn, the filling is tasty. The only improvement which I could have is to add a little more oil or water to the dough so that the dough becomes more moist because the flour is a bit fly. Jokes apart, my only complaint with this dish is that, well, I have two complaints with this dish. First, I think the dough could have been a bit more moist. We can work on that. Maybe increase the amount of oil or maybe the water. And the second, why couldn't I have baked more of this dish? It's so amazing and decently low in carbs. So in this recipe I have used honey as a replacement for sugar, but you can just as easily replace honey with some other artificial sweetener or replacement of sugar. If I do make some changes further down the line, I'll be sure to drop an update. Until then folks, I'll have this pie and enjoy.